Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti, and if you don't know, I'm the face, the voice, and the hands behind all the content here under Infiniti Crafting Co. and behind the website InfinityCraftingCompany.com. Today I bring you channel chat 140, aka day 31 of Vlogust, aka the day that my entire audience is like, thank God. Same. Today's topic, as promised, as aforementioned yesterday, if you haven't watched yesterday's channel chat, I'm going to be talking about my membership program, so I'll also be giving a lot of reference back to channel chat 137, because that is my most watched channel chat ever, which is wild, but I'll get into more of that later on in the video. I do have a pot for the day. Actually, I have a couple for today. They won't actually be in shop today. I'm thinking that I'll probably just load them in by Monday. Give me a little grace here. I'm also working on my Fresh Peaks sweater, the front panel of it. It's coming on down. I don't know about y'all, but when I design stuff, I like to design it in the off season. So even though it's going to be well into the 90s this weekend, I am working in chunky wool because by the time it's cold outside, this will be done and the pattern will be formatted and all that. So, I feel like it's just kind of working smart, because while I knit fast and I crochet fast, I don't like designing under pressure. So, yeah, this is going swimmingly. I'm very happy to be picking it up. I currently have one crochet project going, and I got this going, and the crochet project is with lace weight yarn, and this is obviously not lace weight, so the switch up for my hands is quite glorious. Anyway, today's topic is going to be about the membership program. So I launched a members program directly on my website in July. I'd kind of been hinting at the return of it a little bit, but I didn't say a lot about it. And obviously when I released the video announcing it, I was really nervous. At least when I rewatched it, I was incredibly nervous. And I always am, because I feel like there's some kind of disconnect sometimes when I launch things and it doesn't quite resonate, or either that or, social media is just not showing it to the people that it needs to be shown to. I don't know. Either way, there's always a disconnect between the launches of my things and the people that actually see the content or care about it or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit, and some of the stuff that I've been able to put in within this short time period, and where I'm going to be taking it and all that. Basically, the future of my channel. And if you have not watched channel chat 137, which a lot of people did, okay, a lot of people, but if you haven't watched it, basically the gist of that was that I am trying to sustain Infiniti Crafting Co., right? This 5-year journey has been one of the most fun, but also one of the most frustrating things, as I have pivoted and strategized and tried to figure out how I was going to turn this concept into my business. So for a lot of you guys in my audience have just come upon my content within the last year, specifically within the last probably 4 to 6 months. Welcome. Hello. Infiniti Crafting Co. was started to kind of boister, not just a hobby, but boister my business, because I used to knit and crochet things for commissions, and then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, and I would have rather do pattern design and then just have ready-made crochet and knit items online. But that has also shifted to include my pottery and things like that, so while people can still buy my patterns, they can still buy my handmade knit and crochet items, I'm also putting pottery in there as well, because I am a traditionally trained artist, and I felt kind of bad about forsaking my artistry for my business. It kind of felt like I was losing part of, I don't know, not part of myself, but kind of part of myself at the same time. So to find a way to reincorporate that into my business model was a really fun thing for me, and I think that quite a few people are enjoying that so far. So I want to thank the people that are supporting that part of my business. But by and large, I have been working to get Infiniti Crafting Co. to be sustainable. I started this thing probably, let me see, it was my last year of community college. and I was technically 19. I know in one of the videos I said I was 20, but I started this in October, so I clearly hadn't turned 20 yet. But nonetheless, doesn't really make a difference. 5 years, and you know, I've come upon a very wonderful, large community, and I feel blessed by that. And in the same token, I would like to have said community, you know, want to see me continue this, I guess. Which, if the rate at which people watch that I quit video says anything, I'm going to assume that y'all find some kind of value in whatever it is I'm doing, or in my teaching style or whatever. So I just implore you to sit back, grab your project, and listen to me ramble a little bit here, and maybe by the end of the video you will want to head over to my website and sign up for Hey Crafterpreneur. I do have a handy dandy notebook because I digress often, and I really want this particular video to be more concise and less jittery, which I don't know if I've achieved that yet, so I could have already failed that mission. But nonetheless, I do have talking points that I want to address, and so if I glance down a little bit, that's why. So Hey Crafterpreneur is an exciting new branch. Like I said, it allows me to kind of branch out and have more control over the things that I can offer. Of course, every social media website kind of has something where creators can go in and create subscriptions and things like that. But social media is so finicky, and you know, attention ebbs and flows. It depends, especially for what I do, depends on the season and what people are interested in for that season. So for me, typically a lot of my actual support comes in through August through December or February, somewhere in there. So I wanted to build something outside of my social media channels that people could be more closely involved in and more in tune with, and that I can like build a micro community with. So like I said, have a big, bold, beautiful community right now that watches my video content on a couple different platforms, and then I have my little social media platforms that I manage back and forth, and people interact with my content there, and I love that. But if I could make it to where I could have just a very niche community, right, that wants to make fun crochet patterns, or see my latest Centro knitting machine patterns, or even follow my knitting patterns, because I do multiple crafts, okay? If I can garner support in a meaningful way, then that means that I can stick around and not only continue to build upon my pattern designing and sharing that with people, but I can also continue to do the videos and things like that here on YouTube that everybody seems to enjoy. Infiniti Crafting Co. has been my baby for the last 5 years. I started it in October of 2018, so technically I was 19 when I started it. I'm now 25, and you know, look, right, I don't know many other young people that sit up in their early 20s just sitting up knitting and crocheting and stuff, and especially not as passionately as I do. It has been my joy to see that I can reach so many people, even being a young person doing the craft, especially in the beginning there, because it seemed that there was this trend where, like, if it wasn't somebody's grandma on camera teaching them how to knit, they didn't want to learn. And it's really nice to see that the attitude around that is shifting, and a lot of people in my age group and younger are finding interest in the crafts. And so it's really fun to be able to reach those audiences, and also people that are older than me that learn from me. It's really kind of cool, a cool experience as well. But ultimately, when I started Infiniti Crafting Co., I always tell the story about how I was bored, but also I was like, I was in education school to be a teacher, and I thought that starting a craft education channel would help me boost my skill as an art education teacher, if that makes sense. And so I started on that. I've always believed that my purpose in life was to help people, but also to educate. And so while I've been running this thing over the last 5 years of my life, it has given me a chance to really contemplate that and pinpoint how I should try to execute my purpose in life. Because, you know, I can't say that I would be dedicated as intensely as I am to this business if I didn't believe that it somehow linked back to something that I should be doing. And while I don't mind educating or giving advice, or what do they call it, mentoring in other capacities, because I have done it over the last at least 6 years, I find that being able to teach crafts has been more purposeful, more meaningful than any of the other things that I have done. Certainly I've reached more people doing this than I have with any of my other ventures, so that leads me to believe that this has to be part of my main track in life, right? And I think that, again, referring back to Channel Chat 137, I think that whenever something is close to breaking through, right, it always feels like you're at a precipice. So when I made Channel Chat 137, I voiced some very real concerns. However, I was at the same time just thinking to myself, like, something's clearly working here, because every day that I log on, I find new faces in my audiences, and I love that. Like I said, I love the fact that I am reaching new people and that I am helping them in whatever craft endeavor they are going into. So when I made that video, I was like, okay, something has to be working right now for me, but clearly it's not connecting in the way that it needs to. And I know, again, sometimes when I put out my messages, I am nervous, and I don't fault myself for that, but at the same time, sometimes I have to go back and reiterate it because I need to sound more confident in what I'm voicing, especially as a business owner. It's kind of, important. And I do feel like within the last 5 years, I have been able to build upon my teaching skill and just kind of evolve as a person and educator. Sounds like such a fancy title now. But I think that it's been beneficial to character development, if you will. And I'm something of a lifelong learner, so it's not that I won't always seek to grow or, find new skills to help improve what it is I'm putting my hands to. But in the same token, I believe that I want to make a career out of the work of my hands, which is, again, why I'm so passionate about Infiniti Crafting Co. as a whole, and why I tend to just, go really hard when I put stuff out there in hopes that people will see it and want to resonate with it and all of that. And last year, after my mom passed, I really sat down and thought about it. Thought about a lot of things, actually. But after she passed, I was like, I need to really evaluate what I want to do with my life and for me, and what would bring the most utility and joy to myself, but also the people that I reach. Because, sure, there's probably stuff that I could get off into that would be a utility to me, but would it be a positive thing for everybody else that I have not influence over, but everybody else that I, whose lives I've touched, right? And I've stated many times that a lot of times I'm the most at peace when I can just come over here, either quietly design something at 3 in the morning, like a crazy person, or when I get to turn on my camera and record my tutorials and things like that. I don't know, it's just kind of a fun deal for me. It's kind of hard to explain this whole thing beyond it's fun for me to do. And so just going off of things that I see, that I can observe, I'm like, okay, clearly I have a community that wants me around, that enjoys seeing what I do, or at least enjoys hearing my ideas. And that's really great. And as I stated in Channel Chat 137, I never set out particularly to have a massive community. And by some people's standards, I don't have a massive community. But in my book, I never imagined that I would now be talking to cumulatively 61,000 people when I did the math the other day. So in my book, that's a lot of people. And, I think that by and large, the craft community is really supportive. And when they do find their favorite creator, quote unquote, they do want to see them succeed in general. And I can definitely say there are select few people that have come through and sent me emails and communicate with me all the time that they like to see my content, and I love them to death. So I never really expected to have the entire mass of my audience going back to what I was saying, the entire mass of my audience to just chime in and like buy all my stuff, because I do design merch stuff. I do a lot, okay, and that's been kind of my mission, to centralize everything on my own platform recently, but I digress. I have to believe that somewhere between my channels growing at the rates that they are and people, you know, tuning in and interacting and whatnot, I have to believe that some part of my community wants to see me succeed. If for nothing else, then to just see my tutorials continue. Because I get a lot of please don't quit. And I think that sometimes people don't realize that doing all the video recordings and putting out the patterns and doing all the things that you guys see come from Infiniti Crafting Co., all of that takes a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of energy. And again, it was always my main goal to make this small business of mine sustainable. That was my goal more solidly last year. Like I said, after my mom passed, I was like, you know what? I've been doing this for a while. I need to start making this work. And then now, as again I continue and I've entered my last year of college, I'm like, you know, it'd be really great if this thing that I was putting in, you know, 60 plus hours a week into was actually sustainable. So, you know, a lot of my problems would be solved. And so it's not an all at once thing. It is my hope that over the next few months that people will again want to come together, chime in, and support my content. There are actually a few people that already have, and I'm excited to have them as members of Hey Craftpreneur so far. So this is really great, and you guys are probably wanting me to get on with it and get into what it is. So I will do that. Hey Craftpreneur initially was a podcast that I started behind my members wall back in 2021. I launched it in January of 2021. And it didn't really go anywhere. It was probably just not that interesting, to be honest. I didn't have as big of a following, and I didn't have as much engagement with my content at that point. So I eventually sunset that program at the end of last year, because I'm like, this needs a reboot in some capacity. And I had already been thinking along the lines of, at least since last June, I had already been thinking along the lines of, how can I make something cool that people want to join, you know, to support my content. And so somewhere in January of this year, I was like, wait a minute, I got a light bulb moment. And I was like, there's some very specific things that I know how to do, or that I have designed out, that I know for a fact people would love to come watch or at least learn how to do. So I set out to design my members club. Now at first I was going to put it on YouTube, but as like I said before, as I started to read out their terms of service and the things that I can and cannot offer and all that, I was just like, this is kind of restrictive, and I can't really do what exactly I want to do. And I'm like, people can't really get the full value out of the service if I'm like, beholden to one platform's guidelines and things like that. So it's nothing bad. It's just that I wanted to incorporate blog posts and things like that into the fray, and that would have been dysfunctional and prohibited by, say, YouTube's thing. And then not only that, not everybody watches me on YouTube. I have a whole community on Rumble, and I have a whole community on Facebook and Instagram, and all of those people are not going to just come over to one platform to pay a subscription fee to like a half-baked program. So in my opinion, it was better to start developing this thing on my own website. And so I set out to do that, and it also brings me the opportunity to put out there more that, hey, I design patterns, you know, check them out. So what is Hey Craftpreneur now? So what it is now, of course, is either a monthly or a quarterly subscription, and you get access to my pattern library. Currently, and obviously as it's just starting out, I'm putting out 2 of my designs per month, because not all of my patterns at this point have video tutorials to accompany them. So I'm working on that. Last year I also mentioned that I wanted to start incorporating videos into my patterns so that it'd be easier for people to follow along with, or if something was explained in a confusing way, like I try to explain stuff as streamlined as possible, but sometimes the abbreviations and the wording can get kind of messy for some people. So I just started making videos so that people can visualize what I'm talking about in the pattern. So oftentimes in these videos I will reference the pattern, and so I wanted to be able to put both of those together in one spot for people to follow along with. And that especially applies to like my Centro knitting machine videos. So a lot of people in my audience have followed me from my Centro videos. And with those, I have these blog posts called Maker Notes. And those are some of my highest viewed blog posts, because people, I guess, like the extra written instruction that go along with it. But in those blog posts, I also put the YouTube video in there because I reference one another in the whole video thing. Like the Maker Notes reference the YouTube video references the Maker Notes, and so I thought that that was a cohesive way to share the design and the extra notes and findings and helpful tips that I have found with that machine. So the same thing applies with my crochet or knitting patterns. I started, for Hey Craftpreneur, I started posting the pattern on these exclusive blog posts. The ones that already had the videos, I started implementing the videos and embedding them into the blog posts so that you don't have to like toil and find them, even though members have access to a private video channel that has all these videos in there and a forum. Sometimes you don't want to just bounce around to try to find all these links. Like I said, it's about making things more streamlined and easier for people to find and follow through with. So that's been something that I have been hyper focused on over the last month and a half. And things are coming along really great. That members forum will be out by mid-September. I've been adding in the the forum posts so that people can find them. I have them laid out in a way that, like, if you have questions about a pattern or a specific line or something, you can go in, ask about it, and I can give feedback. You can post your whip pictures, you can mingle with one another. It's really involved, and I'm kind of happy about how I was able to build that out, and I'm really glad that the website platform that I use is constantly evolving its apps so that I can develop stuff to make it more fun for people that decide to venture my way. So I think that this also makes my designs a lot more accessible because, again, the video format aids in more than just I don't understand the pattern. It's like if you don't understand patterns at all, pattern writing at all, you could still follow along and make my designs without having to just rage quit because you don't read abbreviations. It also helps different learning styles, you know? Back to that teacher education thing, there's multiple different learning styles, and I find that doing videos really addresses about half of them. So I enjoy doing that part of the process. And then sometimes it's just really nice to revisit my designs and recreate them over and over again, even though I did so in the first place to pattern test. But oh my gosh, that was another point. So it kind of lends to the opportunity for pattern testing, though I don't really do it because it's weird. I've done a couple of test patterns before for people, and it just feels like a very intense situation. But my deal is if somebody wears a size that I don't offer the specific math for in the pattern, then if they wanted to give me their math notes, they could, and I could possibly update the pattern for that. Or if they found some kind of misstep in the math or something, they could tell me via either email or the forum post. I don't mind either, because I can make those adjustments accordingly. Because, you know, you're only as good of a designer as, you know, how do I want to say that? When it comes to designing things, I feel like you're only as good as like where your mind takes you a little bit with it. So if you were only making 1 or 2 sizes or something like that, or, you know, you're constantly doing like trade-off math or things like that, it's about the extent of your pattern. So like to get that outside feedback would be really nice, mostly from people that are actually invested in and like to see the designs, because it's one thing to have a members club and people are critiquing you, as opposed to having like an external community that's not actually involved in the pattern at all or involved in any of the process at all, and they're just like, oh yeah, that sucks, and they haven't even made the pattern yet. Hashtag, you know, Etsy horror stories. But anyway, so again, basically this is allowing me to slowly release those designs in a way that allows people to access them at their leisure. You never lose access to these patterns as long as you're a subscribed member of Hey Crafterpreneur. And it also holds me to my release schedules, because, you know, a lot of times I'll get these fanciful ideas and then I end up blowing them off in lieu of something else. And so in this, at least in this case, it's helping push me to actually update my patterns with the videos and just make things more efficient for the future. So like I said, members also have my full-on support through that forum or via email. I will respond to them promptly because, I mean, you're paying to be there, so you're going to want that support as quickly as possible. So I will do my best to cater to that crowd as well. Like that would be my priority. So far, again, full unlimited access to my knit, crochet, central knitting machine patterns, maker notes, the exclusive video tutorials for those patterns. You guys have my I don't want to say 24/7 because I do need to sleep, but you have my full-on priority support. So if you have a question about a pattern and you want to comment in the forum or you want to send me an email about it, then I am more than glad to turn around and, again, get around to those emails as quickly as possible. There's also early access. So I have said it before, sometimes it is a lot easier to write a blog post than it is to format a pattern. And as I've been putting out my free patterns on my blog posts, and as I have been implementing these paid patterns on the supporter only blog posts, I have come to realize that with the way that I write my patterns, it would be very easy to transfer them from note form to blog form and implement the pictures there. It would probably take me a full-on extra week or two to even get around to doing the PDF formatting and things like that. I also have an assortment of ideas in these brain cells up here, and a lot of times I end up designing faster than I can put out the designs, if that makes sense. So I know there's about 3 of them that I have right now. I made them into blog posts, but I haven't actually released them yet. They are categorized under the Hey Crafterpreneur thing. So members get access to those designs basically first. I think the next bonus thing that I'm doing is that baby blanket that I made back in like March. A lot of people really liked that one, and I'd written down the design, but of course I hadn't taken any pictures and things like that. So I'm thinking about doing a little sample swatch for one of the bonus months and putting that design out there for members. So that's another thing. Sometimes y'all get bonus patterns, like I said, for the same reason. I just end up with more side projects and designs than I know what to do with, and I find that some of them are not worth rewriting the entire pattern for. So my first and only bonus at the moment is my water bottle holder that I made for Shark Week. I specifically altered that pattern for Shark Week, and I thought it was fun. So I sat up and recorded an extra video instead of writing out a PDF. So it's in the same blog post as the main tutorial for that, but you would only find that specific design under the members club. It's not even in my shop yet. So exclusive access and early access, they're kind of one and the same, and then sometimes they're separate, but you know, it's a great perk, I think. And it's also a great way for me to be able to like let off my random ideas. So yeah, those are basically my perks for that program. Unlimited access to my pattern designs, the forums, the videos, the early and exclusive access, the support, and intrinsically you just know that you are supporting a maker a small business girl that's just living her crafty dreams, you know? So if that does sound interesting to you, you can head over to my website today and sign up for that. Like I said, there's already a few of y'all over there, and I am very happy to see that. The program itself is $5.99 a month, and I was recently able to create a quarterly option. So if monthly doesn't work for you, every 3 months it's 20 bucks. And you get access to all of that fun jazz. Like I said, I'm really excited to see where this goes, especially over the next several months, because if I can get to perhaps 1% of my total audience supporting my content over there, I will definitely be doing this for a long while. So it's exciting to think about. I remain hopeful about it. I thought about putting this over on Ko-fi as well, or Ko-fi. But in the long run, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think that it is better for me personally, me as a brand, to implement these things on my own platform and very cautiously and very occasionally branch out onto other platforms. Because at least when I have my own website and things like that, I don't have to worry about the whimsy of other places and, you know, the capabilities of their UI and things like that. So yeah, I hope you guys like I said, will consider supporting me over there. I actually hope people watch this particular channel chat because it's astounding the level of interest between videos. Channel chat 136 was like 50 views, and then channel chat 137 was like almost 200. And then yesterday I did a channel chat about how I box my pottery and things like that and send it out. It's like a pack and order with me kind of video. I think it had like 20 views at the most on it, so I don't know. We'll see where this video goes today. I do have pots for the day. I almost forgot about that too. Let me put this knitting down because it's going to consume the rest of my camera time. Alright, so I got 2 pots for the day. I don't have names for them yet, but they will have names by the time I list them on my website. So both of them are kind of fun because in a nerdy way. So the first one is this crochet hook little cup thing that I made. Now, it was wood fired, flashing, it's been burned. Okay, but believe it or not, this whole cup was red. It was bright red. And as I've said in past videos, red, even orange and yellow and stuff, they don't like open flame, because whatever's in the open flame, whatever chemicals are in the open flame, it just burns out those pigments. Not so much for the greens and blues, but this most definitely. So this was totally red, and I had a light bulb moment go off when I picked this up, and I'm like, what? I don't remember this glaze being available in the studio. And as I looked at it closer, I'm like, wait a minute. This was not white when I coated it, because I know this because it's porcelain, and porcelain is naturally white, so like, why would I put a white glaze on it? So anyway, that was my little nerd out moment when I got this out. And then this yarn bowl. One of my weirder pieces, okay? Don't judge me. Don't at me. I don't know why I put so many yarn guides on it. I just did, alright? It's one of the artisan bowls. This yarn bowl was actually supposed to go in with my patriotic yarn bowls. It was red, white, and blue. And I didn't realize that it was red, white, and blue until the other night when I looked at it. And I'm like, I don't remember doing this. It almost still works because of the flashing, turning the porcelain kind of this ruddy orange-ish color. But the rim of this was red. So, again, I know that because it's full-on white, and I never put white glaze on a porcelain clay body. It's weird. And then the blue was very thin. I wanted a thinner layer of that blue so it would kind of let the texture peek through on the outside of the bowl, which I can appreciate. Wait a minute. Oh no, okay. Alright, I'll live. So, oh my gosh, this bowl actually got a crack in it at some point. I guess I don't know if the bottom was too thin, maybe, or if it was just the way that I threw it, but there's a little moon-shaped crack going across here, and I just realized that you can see through it now. So this one will not be in the shop. Oh well. I'll probably go frisbee this one in the trash also, like I did in the last short that I did. But anyway, so I did promise to show you guys these other bowls though. I will show you one of them. I'm going to show y'all more than one of these, okay? I got 5 in total. The other ones are kind of this ambery brown-green color. But these are my heart bowls, right? And I'm going to be putting these out sometime in January. I just don't feel like listing them just yet. And plus I got to go through and refine some of these bottoms. These came out of the wood firing, and these were also red. These were also red. But they turned this very nice white, which, again, at first I was just admiring them, because I'm like, oh, that is a very pretty glaze. I don't know which glaze got that coloring to go on there like that. But then I realized it's this. And this one was also wood-fired, but it didn't get hit by the flame as much. But you can tell that it got hit some. 2 totally different results from a single firing. So, yeah, heart bowls will not be there, but that crochet hook vase will be in the shop, and then that yarn bowl I'm going to have to trash. So, oh well, we don't cry over pottery here all the time. And one might ask what I did these heart bowls for. I was kind of thinking a yarn bowl without guides, but I don't know. That will be left up to interpretation by the purchaser, not by me. So, about January, and I'll bring these back and show them off again closer to time, because people are going to totally forget about these bowls by the time I do actually put them out. So that'll be fun for future references. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If so, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up, share, like, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff. I will leave the link to Hey Craftpreneur down in the description box below, and I will make it the only link down there for today's video. So if you're interested in heading over there and supporting my content, supporting me today, you can head over there and do that, because that will keep me here doing the channel that much longer. Alright, good night everybody. Until next time, happy making.